Okay, to summarize what I did in this project is I went on to PakWheels website and I looked at the cars in Islamabad, Prius cars in Islamabad. I grabbed their titles, their year of manufacture, their year listed, their mileage, their fuel type, and their horsepower and their transmission. I did this for all the other values on the first page all the way to the last page. Over here the last page is 143. I grabbed all these values, stored them into a CSV file. This is the CSV file with all these values with title and the prices in lakhs. This is for an intermediary column that I used in my calculations. These are all the years listed and sorted according to the year. No, this isn't sorted according to year, but it is sorted according to the price. Applied some filters over here, and the mileage is also listed, horsepower, and the page for which this car was listed on, and their links. How I did this, I wrote code in Python. This is the code. I used the Beautiful Soup library, and these are all the details of the code which I have explained ahead in this video. Ahead if you're watching it in the beginning, or I'm also mentioning this summary at the end of this video. So if you are at the end of the video, then I have mentioned the details of this code in this video. This is what it looks like. There's a for loop in there that goes ahead and grabs the title using container.find and all other values, and then stores them into a data frame, converts that data frame into a CSV, and this one over here converts them into a CSV. I could download this CSV over here. This isn't connected to a runtime, but it shows me right. This is the CSV over here. I could just click it over here and download it. Alright, this is a web scraping project in which I have grabbed all the information, useful information that is listed at PakWheels. There are 158 total results, in which I'm gonna go ahead and grab the title, the year, its mileage, its fuel type, its horsepower and transmission for all the cars listed over here. And there are going to be some results that I will find. I will discuss those ahead, but I have developed this sort of a dashboard, charts and graphs for this project, in which on this graph you can see the values are listed for less than 50 lakhs, and the mileage is on the y-axis. The x-axis lists its prices that are starting from 26.9 lakhs, and the year of the car. You can see the latest car is from 2015. That's because I have applied a filter over here that lists only the cars for which the values, the price values are less than 50 lakh. And the other graphs I have assigned no filter on them, just for the demonstration purposes. This first one is for the year versus mileage. You can see that 2006, it starts from 2006 and goes to 2020, and the mileage and also the price has also been listed over here. I have divided the price by 10 just so it could be visible on this graph, and the mileage is in purple. You can see you could expect to see the values for the oldest cars a bit higher, because obviously they are going to be driven a lot. And one more thing, that it could be a bit difficult to see over here, because There are too many values. For that purpose, I applied the filter on the first graph that I show. Similarly, I've developed all of these other graphs that are for years and price, years versus price, years versus mileage. This one is for price versus mileage. The price increases from for along the x-axis, and the mileage increases along the y-axis. This one shows more clearly about the price versus mileage, and the last one is for the mileage versus price. These are just the similar graphs, but the x and y axis flipped around. Okay, so when I also developed one more thing, that I also developed a pivot table that helped me develop this chart that I have sent backwards. Let me just bring it to the front. Right, this pivot table have helped me develop this chart. This chart that is for 2006. There were two cars, and I have only used the minimum of the mileage, because obviously we are going to prefer a car that has been driven for the less kilometers, just so it gives us good performance. There are two cars for 2006 and several for 2007 and so on till 2015, because the filter has been applied. This was a worksheet that I was working in, doing all the calculations, data cleaning and all that, and you could expect to see that for about 158 results, 158 pages, there are 23 on each page. You could expect to see a total number of cars, 3,634, but the number of listings over here in my worksheet are only 154. This is because of the data cleaning I have performed on it, removed some of the anomalies and some of the duplicates. Well, there were plenty of duplicates when I was cleaning the data using the remove duplicate function in Excel. This one over here, I have used this column to remove the duplicates, and when I did this, I found out that the cars listed after page 7 were repeated. There were lots of cars that were duplicated, so we didn't need to go beyond the page 7. But as you can see, there are 158 pages. But this was something I learned when I went through this project. So how did I grab all these values? How did I start with 3000 values which are stored in this another original worksheet that I used? You can see over here there are about 3000 entries. That's because when I was grabbing these, I was collecting this data, it was 2 days ago there were like 3000 listings over there, and now there are 3600. These values keep changing. That's why there are different entries over here and on the web page. But I will show you how we can collect this data. I have written this code in Python. So we are going to move, I'm going to move to this Google Colab tab and gonna walk you through, not gonna walk you through the code, but I will just give a quick demonstration of what's in the code, how to grab all these values from PakWheels. So let's get into it. Okay, we start by just importing these libraries that include Beautiful Soup, Requests, Pandas and NumPy. I don't think I will be using NumPy in it, but it's nice to have this library. So I just go and grab this URL over here. and paste it into URL variable, and then I use this code request.get URL, store it into a page variable and print it. I get a response 200, which shows that the page is live and it's giving me a response. And then I store the text on this page using the HTML as parser. And the beautiful soup is the function called stored in soup variable. And then I use soup.prettify. Prettify just improves the formatting of the HTML parser, HTML text on this page, but it will be a bit hard to understand. Let me show you. It's still a bit difficult to understand over here, but if you want to look at a better formatting, the best way is to just go on this page and use inspect, which I will be using to grab the information as discussed before, that was the title and all the others. Okay, so for the next line of code, I go ahead and find all the div tags on this page with the class this call md9, using this function soup.findAll, and store them in a variable containers. Why did I choose this one specifically? That's because when I inspected this page using inspect, I can see that this highlights the entire box. I will be looking into this box, right? And I didn't choose this one because that's too generic. I want to get into the details as soon as I could, and I have to zone in on the useful information as soon as possible. Okay, so this one div class call md3 grid style grabs the image. I don't need the image for this task. I will be grabbing all the other information that are stored in this md9 class. Alright, moving on. These PakWheels and info are just an empty list which I was creating when I was writing this code, and I was practicing how to go through this task. But the best one that I got was stored in the better df. You will see that I had. So now for the title, I used the for loop for container in containers. For title, I go ahead and find the h3 tag, and I will be stripping the all the other informations that sometimes include the \n and some tags, but I don't only need the information about the title. So I will be storing them into by finding the container.find h3. I think I will show this. So this is the title that is stored in h3 tag. You know, this was the h3 tag, and I will be grabbing the title from over here. Similarly, I will grab the price by finding the div class div tag, and then the this would be the class, and then I have used the text dot strip over here again. But when I was using it, I was getting the backslashes, and these weren't being stripped, so I just hard coded it into the command line. I think I will show you. I will print these later, so you know what I will be printing, if these values that I am grabbing, they are working or not. But I was writing this code. I was printing them as I was going through the code for each piece. Similarly, for the price, let me just show you for the price for first. These are stored in price details generic dark gray. Price details generic dark gray, PKR 98 lakhs. Similarly, for all the other info. For these informations, I wrote this code, and what was happening over here was, when I went into grabbing the information from this class, ul container.find in the class, this one. Okay, so when I looked at inspection, these are in these are stored as listed tags in the parent class ul. So when I was grabbing the information, I had to look through a way to grab these, loop through these values. For the first value it was the year, for the second one it was its mileage, for the third its fuel type and all that. So I used this li information for stored them into li variable using ul.findAll, which were the list. These are all the values in the list, and I stored them into the first variable was for the year. I stored it into year. The second one was for mileage, fuel, HP, transmission, and so on. And these are the index positions of it. These li0, 1, 2, 3 refer to the index positions. And the next part was the link. I had to find the link for this page. I just found this class on this page, and for the href tag. Okay, for the link, this was the href tag I was grabbing in the tag A, and this is just half URL, the value, the information about PakWheels. The full URL isn't referenced over here, so I added it manually using this link equals to PakWheels.com plus link. And then these three are just storing the information into the list, empty list I created earlier. This one for the year, for mileage, fuel, for the information part, and as I mentioned earlier, the better DF has all the information that includes title, price, and transmission link, all that. So I think let me just run this. Getting an error over here for containers is not defined. I didn't run this. That's run. Alright, that's printing all the values listed on the first page. These are 25 values on this page. For the better DF, you see these are the values stored in the lists. This one is the first value, and all that is another link. I will print that later as well, I think. Okay, for the next one, I'm storing the better DF lists as a data frame. You see, it's better to understand over here, and the advantage of storing it as a data frame is that I could use pandas library to convert this into a CSV file using this code. I'm not gonna do that right now because we still have to go through, loop through all the other pages on this website. We just looped through all the values, all the cars listed on the first page. Now we gotta move on to all the other pages. So you can see over here there are 150 results. That means 150 pages. So I will just write here 150, but for demonstration purposes let's just do it for the first 4 pages, I guess. 5 is not included, so let's run this one. Alright, I also added a print over here so I know for which page we are on. We are now on page completed for the 4 pages. Date today is 16 June and pt.read 16 June. Alright, it's stored over here. Let's download it. Open. Alright, it was the title, price, year, mileage, fuel type, horsepower, and all the information. There are about 116 entries for the first 4 pages. That makes sense. There were 25 on each page, so 25 into 4, shouldn't there be 100? Right, we are getting 116. That means there are some different number of listings on each page. Anyways, the same, we could now move on and include the number for all the other pages. There were 150, and it will just loop through again through all the pages using all the functionality and the code written previously. Also, there are going to be some duplicates over here. Let's just check it quickly and select all. Just wait for the link. There are 8 duplicate values found and 107 are reserved. Now, why do we have duplicates over here? I think when I was looking closely into these values, I found that that the featured cars were being mentioned again and again on the other pages as well, and it was kind of a repetitive behavior. For the first 5 pages there weren't too many repetitive entries, but from the page 7 ahead, most cars were repetitive. They were being mentioned, duplicated. They were being mentioned again and again, which makes sense because in one city you don't expect to see too many of similar cars, especially Prius, and I think 100 of these are plenty. And for the file I showed, this is the file I just created right now, but the file I showed you previously, there were I think 115 entries remaining, 115 or 17 like those, which were unique. So I think that makes sense for my city, Islamabad, and why the number 115 makes more sense rather than 4000 entries, 4000 of the similar cars in a same city. So yeah, for the next part I will be moving into demonstrating, looking at those charts that I showed you previously and looking closely at what do we understand from the data. Okay, I have the file right here. Let's quickly get into doing some data cleaning and then creating the charts, graphs, and the pivot chart. So first what I'm going to do is copy all these values to a separate sheet. so my original data remains unaffected. Okay, so now let me expand this first. Okay, what I want to do is convert all these values into a simple format that would be in lakhs. So I could just rename this header over here into something like prices in lakhs, and for that I will have to do is first get rid of these values that are duplicated or repeated, and convert these crores into lakhs, and some also get rid of the some of the anomalies. And right off the bat I can see that this car with the fuel type petrol is actually Prius, but there are going to be a few cars over here like this one that would be uh, misrepresented. No, I think would be a data anomaly. Like this Honda CR-Z Sports Hybrid is not actually a Prius, so I might want to get rid of this as well. So first of all, let me just get rid of the duplicate entries. I'm gonna highlight this column and then just go into the data tab and remove the duplicates. Unselect all. I'm going to do it by the link. There were two duplicates only. Okay, let's get rid of these and have a filter applied over here. Let me look at the manual to find out if there's an anomaly. Right, these are unint Priuses, so I will simply get rid of these. And okay, so now all of these are automatic. I don't want to use this column, so I will just remove this column. Also, let me rename this so it is a working sheet, not the original one. And moving on to the next one, for the petrol, let's just look into the fuel type of petrol first. These three are actually Priuses. This one is Civic. Also, just to reduce the data and the number of entries, I don't think I will be proceeding with a Prius car that is petrol, that's fuel type is petrol and not a hybrid. So I don't want these cars, so I'm also getting rid of these with the fuel type of petrol. Going back to the all type of fuels, getting rid of this column because they are all hybrid. And the next step would be to convert these values into lakhs, get rid of this strings lakhs and also PKR in it. Let's just do this one first. Control H, find what PKR in capital, replace with nothing, replace all done. Do the same thing for lakhs. Okay, so now all we are left with are the values in crore. Let's apply the filter over here to only see the values in crore and call. Right, I don't want to bother with this row value. And to convert these into lakhs, first do the same thing and just do it manually because there are only like 4 or 5 entries. multiplying 1.21 crore by 100 would turn it into lakhs. So let's just do this. 105 120 145 160, as simple as that. Going back to showing us all the values. Okay, I could do one more thing over here, that would be convert these into number, and same thing for mileage. Let's do it for number and have the commas in the entries. And okay, so I would also want to get rid of kms in this column. Let's do it like this. Find km, replace it with nothing. Okay, simple as that. And getting rid of those extra decimal values. Okay, now let me see if there's an anomaly in horsepower. 1497 cc, these are all Priuses. 1500 cc's are also Prius, right? And 1800 cc are also Prius. Great, we can't do anything in this column, and now all that's left is, let's just start plotting its graph. Let's sort it by smallest to largest, and for the graph of year versus mileage, let's do like this. Insert, let's start with the line graph, select its data, and okay, let me add it for price. Series name is this, and its values are starting from this, Control Shift A all the way to down. Okay, for these I'm gonna plot it against the year. Control Shift all the way to down. Okay, this is a line chart for the years. I can see that this one shows me a kind of an anomaly. How come a car so old have such a high price? The reason might be its mileage. Anyways, we will look into this when I plot it against mileage. Let me copy this graph to another sheet. Do I want to add data labels, or I think I should add axis titles? For the axis, y-axis, these are prices in lakhs, and the x-axis are years. Let's move it to another sheet. Let's do the same thing for mileage versus year. Insert, let's do for the column chart this time. For the data, I'm going to do series name is mileage, and its value is Control Shift A all the way to the down, and this one is going to be the year all the way to the bottom. Okay, now these are already too many values. I might want to apply a filter over here as well. which I think, should I do it right now or wait it to do it okay. So for the next chart, what I'm gonna do and apply a filter on that as well is, I want to first, let's move it to another sheet. What I want to do is place both price and mileage against year, but I can see that these values are quite far and these aren't uh, standardized. Like for the price, it is 79 lakhs only. Let's just consider the number, it's only 79, but the mileage is in 91,000. So what I want to do is bring these values somewhere closer together, so they could be shown clearly on a graph. Let me demonstrate it what I mean. First, let me show you what the problem is over here, that if we don't standardize the data, it would be like this. I could do the column, select data, and for the first one, let's do price, and its values are its values are all these. Add another one, series name is mileage, and its values are these, and the x-axis are going to be my years. Let's do okay. Now it's already very difficult to see that these are only values for mileage, and if we look closely, there's something blue over here. Those are the values for prices. For this legend, that legend shows me that there are the prices for prices in lakhs. There's also a column for that, but it is not clear because that's a very low value, only 79 value against 91,000 mileage. So I want to bring those values closer together. How I can do that is, maybe let's just do this, insert another column over here and start by multiplying 79 with, let's multiply this with 100, and 7,900 is still quite far. How about I multiply this with 1,000? Now 79,000 and 91,000 are kind of close, so that works for me. I'm gonna do that for all the other values, and for the title I'm gonna say that it is, if I want to convert this back into lakh, I want to divide it by x with 1,000. So if I divide 79,000 by 1,000, it would convert it back into 79. Okay, so let's go back to our graph column chart and select data. Let's do this one, and this time this is the name, and the values are going to be these all the way over to the bottom. Okay, awesome. Now this shows me that these values are quite visible on the graph. One more thing I want to do is filter more of these values so they are only visible for the values of our interest. How I can do that is, First, let's apply a filter on mileage. We can do between is greater than or equal to. I don't think I will be going for a too little value, so let's just do for 20,000 kilometers, and I don't want to go for a car that has a lot of mileage on it, so let's do 200,000 kilometers. There are some values filtered and I want to filter it further. Let's do apply a price filter on this. Similarly, let's go to number filter between let's say that I don't want a car that's below a value of 20 lakhs, and for multiplying it with 1000 is greater than or equal to, and I don't want a car that is also too expensive and out of my range. Let's just say for this graph let's do it for 60 lakhs, 60 into 1000. Okay, right, these are quite filtered values, and there are 2006 car and 2015 car are in my range, and the 2003 cars have been filtered out. There was a car of 2004 that has also been filtered out. Let's just apply some data labels on it like this. Data labels. How about we do this, and alignment, rotate it to 70 degrees. Do the same one for this, rotate them 270 degrees, and chart design is going to be something black. This one works good. Let's move it to the other page. Perfect. Right. These are already very easy to see that this value is 38,500. Remember, it is the price that has been multiplied by 1000, so this actual value is 38 lakhs. Okay, so one more thing, let's make a pivot chart out of this. The filter has already been applied, keep that in mind, and insert a pivot table, all these values selected, and for the rows I'm gonna do year, and for the prices let's do this one. So let's start with this one first, and for mileage I don't think I want a sum. I will go with a minimum value because I want minimum mileage. I prefer minimum mileage on these cars. And alright, let's just place a chart on it, see how that looks like. Right, now this one is even better because it is clearer, I think a bit clearer to see. There are going to be some interaction over here. There's a way to fix it as well, but let's just do it later. Let me see for the first 2004, I think, yeah, 2004 car. The value is 79 lakhs and the mileage is 91,000. I could place a data label over here as well, and I will go ahead and rotate it to, okay, design is going to be a black one. Right, that's much easier on the eyes. And I want access titles, I think, over here. Right, I will access titles and not data labels, but legend. Let's not use legend. This is mileage plotted against price. On y-axis we have mileage, x-axis we have prices. Right. That's the thing about pivot chart. They give us values, they summarize values for us just a bit better, but they are a little bit complex to work with, but this one just works perfectly for us, and we could go ahead and filter out the data as we want. So that's it from a bit of demo about creating these values and creating these dashboards and charts, pivot charts, and just like this, and I could send it back to see the other tables and charts on this one, which I did in the original worksheet. Let me go back to that one and see what that data shows us. I'm gonna save this one. Okay, so I am back in the original file, and this one is the pivot chart. Let me enable the data labels on this first, so I could have a better look at the data in this one and find a car that is recommend a few cars that are most bang for the buck with the least mileage and the least price. Okay, so I could see here that y-axis has mileage. I should mention it using the axis titles. Let's do this mileage, and these are the prices, and from the title I can see that these are the prices that have been filtered for less than 50 lakhs. And for less than 50 lakhs, this one seems like a good car that is priced at 28.9 lakhs and has mileage only at 18,000. Now these without the commas are a bit difficult to read, so let's enable commas over here. Let's see if that change is right. Perfect. 18,000. This does seems like an anomaly. How come a car that is priced at about 29 lakhs does only have a mileage of 18,000? This might be an anomaly, but we could discuss more by following up on this link. And similarly, that goes for this other car that is somewhere around 30.5 and 31 lakhs. But these two cars over here, these look like great for this mileage and price. And to find the link for this one, all I have to do is look against mileage of 80,000, a car with 80,000 mileage and price as 29.5, Let's go back to this table and look for a value that is 29.5. Yeah, I could see it over here. It is 29.5. Car, its year is 2007. Its mileage is 80,000. Back to the dashboard, and right, this would be a good. Let me highlight this one. So this is a good value car to go and purchase it for 2007. Similarly, if I want a somewhere car that is a newer, this could be in 2014, that has a mileage of 82,000 and is priced at close to 49.5. This might be more practical value, but it is a bit high. So let me just highlight this one so I could follow up on this one. 49.5 lakhs and 82,000 mileage. 49.5 over here and mileage is 82,000. Both of these cars have similar values, so let's just highlight both of them. Alright, okay, to summarize what I did in this project is I went on to PakWheels website and I looked at the cars in Islamabad, Prius cars in Islamabad. I grabbed their titles, their year of manufacture, the year listed, their mileage, their fuel type, and their horsepower and their transmission. I did this for all the other values on the first page all the way to the last page. Over here, the last page is 143. I grabbed all these values, stored them into a CSV file. This is the CSV file with all these values, with title and the prices in lakhs. This is for an intermediary column that I used in my calculations. These are all the years listed and sorted according to the year. No, this isn't sorted according to year, but it is sorted according to the price. Applied some filters over here, and the mileage is also listed, horsepower, and the page for which this car was listed on, and their links. How I did this: I wrote code in Python. This is the code. I used the Beautiful Soup library, and these are all the details of the code which I have explained ahead in this video. Ahead, if you're watching it in the beginning, or I'm also mentioning this summary at the end of this video. So if you are at the end of the video, then I have mentioned the details of this code in this video. This is what it looks like. There's a for loop in there that goes ahead and grabs the title using container.find and all other values, and then stores them into a data frame, converts that data frame into a CSV, and this one over here converts them into a CSV. I could download this CSV over here. This isn't connected to a runtime, but it shows me this is the CSV over here. I could just click it over here and download it. So that's it from this project. I don't know how long this video has been. I think it would be somewhere around half hour, but it was fun to do it. So thank you very much for viewing this project.